Welcome to the Self-Sufficient Backyard for the Independent Homesteader. We recently did a video on how we grow and raise our field corn, and a viewer of that video was curious as to how we take this corn and convert it into cornmeal. So join me as I reveal the process today of how I'll take this whole corn and convert it into cornmeal, and then I'll use that cornmeal to make some corn sticks, which just happens to be on today's lunch menu. Obviously, the first step in the process is to convert these whole kernels into cornmeal, and to do that I'll be using our grain mill. This mill could be motorized, but I prefer to grind by hand simply because it's good exercise and frankly it doesn't take that long to do the job. Don't need very much cornmeal for my recipe today. I only need about 3/4 of a cup of cornmeal, and I'm going to try not to go over that simply because I don't use cornmeal that often, and once it's ground up, just like any grain, once it's ground up, its shelf life is considerably less than when it's in its whole state like this. Whether it's wheat, rye, or corn, if it's unground, it will keep for a considerably long time. But once it's ground up, the germ is now exposed to the air. That leads to oxidation. Oxidation yields rancidity over time, and rancidity, of course, is spoilage. So to begin the process, I take this little cover off that I made from my mill. That's simply to keep dust and dirt from falling down into this hopper when it's not in use. And now I simply pour my kernels into the hopper and then just simply start cranking the handle. That's all there is to it. And the cornmeal falls out here into the bottom of my waiting pan. Now this particular mill, as you can see, has a very big handle, so it can accommodate 2 hands. So I can grind two-handed if I wanted to, which in fact is what I usually do. But if you wanted, you could certainly grind with 1 hand at a time. And when you get tired, you could switch off and grind with the other one. Or go back to 2 hands. Either way, whether it's 1-handed or 2-handed, take note of the mechanics behind this. I am not just standing in one position, stationary, and just cranking with my arm. That would be very tiring. Instead, I'm using my whole body. I'm rocking back and forth between my right foot and my left foot. I have one foot in front of the other, and I simply rock back and forth and use my whole body to propel this thing around and around and around. It's a lot less tiring, and you can grind for a lot longer period of time. I want to get my cast iron corn stick pan, which I'm going to use to cook the corn sticks. I'm going to get them out and get them sort of preheating so that they're nice and hot when the batter is ready to pour into them. And because these corn sticks take a pretty hot oven around 400 degrees, I'm also going to stoke the fire and add some wood to the stove so that I'm sure my oven is nice and hot and ready to go when I get my batter ready. To mix the batter, I'm first going to combine my dry ingredients, which happens to be flour, and I use half whole wheat flour and half white flour. This is our cornmeal that we just ground up, so I'll measure what I need for that, and which is 3/4 of a cup. I'll see how close I came to estimating. So that's not too bad. There's not too much left over. Set that aside. I need some baking powder. some salt, some sugar, and we'll just whisk all that together and be sure that's all thoroughly combined, and then we'll work on our wet ingredients. Now for our wet ingredients, we'll need an egg, along with some milk and some oil. You could use melted butter here if you wanted to. But I'll be putting butter on them when they come out of the oven, so I'm going to save my butter quota for that. Now when you get that all mixed up, you simply combine the two together. You usually make a well in the center of the dry. Pour the liquid in. And then mix the two together. And you don't want to over mix this. You want to mix this just until it's moist. There might be some lumps still in the batter still. That's the way it should be actually. And at this point we're ready to fill our corn stick pans and get this batter in the oven. The recipe makes 12 corn sticks, and that just happens to be what my pans will accommodate. Doesn't take very much batter to fill each one of them up. Now these are ready to go in the oven. Our time is up. Let's see what our corn sticks look like. Ooh, nice and golden brown. They sure smell good. So we'll take these over to the cooling rack. To remove these from the pan, I usually take a fork and just sort of loosen them around the edges, like so. And then they should just come right out. This particular recipe can also be baked if you don't have corn stick pan like this. It can be baked in a 9x13 pan. You just bake it a little bit longer and it comes out just fine. We like the corn sticks though because all the edges get this nice golden brown crispy. Just the way we like it. Oh, it's hot. Let's open it up and see what it looks like on the inside. So there you have some homemade corn sticks made with homegrown cornmeal that anybody can grow on their homestead and process into cornmeal just like we did. We hope this answers the viewers' questions. And if anybody else has any questions or comments, please let us know and we would do our very best to help you out and answer any questions that you might have. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.